Put an end to you! Shit!
It's locked, all right. It's locked. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. Tippett has made an egregious... Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired from this hospital. I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett's in our situation?
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Brannigan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
Tell me, Nurse, did you know Dr. Tippett was addicted to medication?
I suspected this behavior for some time, but never dared to ask him about it. Until the day he confessed to me.
Why would he confess to you about his addiction, Nurse Brannigan?
Don't you know you doctors can't hide anything from a nurse? We're always there, even if you don't notice us.
Do you consider yourselves our confessors, Nurse Brannigan?
I wouldn't dare, Dr. Reed. But I'm intrigued. How did you discover Dr. Tippett's secret?
What can I say? I seem to have a knack for discovering secrets.
And for hiding them as well.
Do you approve of his addiction?
Of course I don't approve. But I understand he needs it to fight the exhaustion. Let's hope he'll stop injecting himself once the epidemic is over.
And what if he doesn't?
Then we'll have to convince him to stop. I believe he's still in control of his addiction for now, but we must remain vigilant.
I've decided that I won't reveal Dr. Tippett's, shall we say, misdemeanor.
I'm so glad you share my point of view. Dr. Tippett's is a brilliant practitioner. We most definitely need his know-how.
I hope you're right. This is a huge risk we're taking.
Dr. Tippett's must regain his confidence. Please, keep this decision between you and me. He doesn't need to know you found out.
Goodbye, Nurse.
If only I were young again. Just...
Good evening,
Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. The flower's dying. It needs water. The flower's dying. It needs water. It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked, all right. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening,
Do you need medical...
I'm afraid I've contracted some ill...
Not under my watch, Nurse.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Pepper, are you sure?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want...
You should be proud of what you've achieved. This hospital represents hope for many people in need of help.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
What steps are you
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right.
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
I wonder what your last thoughts would be, sir.
No respect.
Here again. Sick again. Feel my blood boil with the fever.
As for me, what a bloody idiot.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I'll think about it. Now please, let me be.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair, while the world...
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand.
The world is bleak, but maybe the pain we feel is the best compass for making it a better place.
How can we repair the world, Dr. Reed, when mankind is the biggest problem? Yes, the world will be a much better place when we're gone.
I have to go now, sir.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Milk.
Good evening.
Do you know that Nurse
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where?
I'd like to see...
Wise choice.
Hello again, Mr. Bl
I'm eternally
Do you need medic...
afraid so.
Throughout history, some diseases have done more damage to armies than any weapon created by man.
You're working at the Pembroke Hospital, aren't you? That's a good enough reason for me and Oswald to go there.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course. Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we were in the same boat to France.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
You are always welcome.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because...
What caused your...
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And they were...
Go on.
He started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
How do you feel about Oswald Thatcher?
I love him. I love Oswald. We knew we wouldn't survive the war without each other.
What frightens you so much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know.
I won't say a word, Mr. Blight. Your secret is safe with me.
I fought for my country and I survived. I saw my comrades die. And now society tells me I'm a criminal for who I love.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Hello.
Yes, this neighborhood may stink of dog shit and reek of piss, but to me it smells like the purest...
Mr. Thatcher.
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Why were you locked in that?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in.
Why did you run?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. Makes me feel like I'm suffering.
Tell me about your claustrophobia. Has anyone given you an
That's what the bloody doctor said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it.
Oswald, why did you not go to...
I don't trust doctors. All they care about was their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is...
Do you want to talk about why you have this fear of being...
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is usually rooted in a specific event. Perhaps it would...
Well, Doctor, take a guess then, if you're so interested in my case.
When I rescued you, you expressed joy at seeing the sky again. So I'm inclined to believe you were trapped or buried somehow. Maybe during a shelling.
Jeez, you're good, Doc. You're really good.
Go on, please.
Newton and I were trapped in a circulation tunnel after an artillery attack. We were buried alive for several days without ever knowing if we'd be found.
Oswald, tell me about what happened.
It was more than dark. It was black as pitch. Hours seemed like days, and days like months. Oh, the terror, the shameful thoughts. Lord have mercy.
What you endured was terrifying. It would have completely destroyed weaker men. Shameful thoughts. Tell me about them.
At some point, I don't remember which day, but when I thought we'd never be rescued, that this would be our end, I thought about...
Say it, Mr. Thatcher. If you ever want to heal, you have to say it.
Yeah, I thought about what I could do to survive, just for a few more days. I thought about killing Newton, killing and eating him. The man I fucking love.
Tell me about your true feelings for Newton.
I love him. I'm not ashamed to say it. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine life without him.
Why should you be ashamed?
I'm not, I said. But Newton sees it differently.
I admire your honesty. It takes courage to stand up to society. The world needs people like you to create change.
Courage is what we needed in the trenches, looking death in the face every day. I speak plain. I speak my mind.
Have you always been this straightforward?
All I know is, before you saved me by the sewer, my only regret was I wouldn't be able to hold or kiss Newton again. I love him, that's all.
Newton is conflicted about his feelings towards you. Would you like to talk about it, Oswald?
It makes me sad and angry. It feels like the beautiful thing we have is somehow tainted. It hurts to see him so lost.
His love for you is genuine. I'm certain he wasn't lying to me when he expressed his feelings.
Newton still has to accept it, knowing he'll be seen as a queer, a fairy, less than a man in those simple-minded bits.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself.
I am not responsible for everything but...
Hello again, Mr. Blunt.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. You doing your round?
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
Oswald seemed far more
It
traumatized.
wasn't the first time it happened to me. And surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
How did you survive?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see? Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Good evening.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Mr.